My name is Doc Mike. Training that I've had is one of the most meticulous training sessions, information gathering as a researcher. My main things that I do is to reduce stress and straighten out nutritional issues. There are people that have the passion that I do for curing people. My passion has extended my education very, very widely so that I feel there's no medical challenge that I will not take on.
Federal agents cracked down on a scam far worse than crack sales, fingering Walgreens pharmacies for illegally selling prescription narcotics in 6 of their Florida stores and in a major distribution center servicing multiple states. The United States Drug Enforcement Agency, also known as the DEA, unveiled their findings about widespread abuse of prescription drugs that has now dwarfed the 1.5 million cocaine addictions. Commenting on this topic is Doc Mike Witort, who for years has treated his patients in cooperation with their doctors to detox them from PDA, prescription drug addiction. He does this in his Chicago suburban Forest Park home and in his Oak Park clinic, as well as by telephone. Stated Witort, the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, has officially reported that annual deaths from prescription painkillers have quadrupled in the past decade to nearly 15,000. And they admit that this has surpassed all deaths from heroin and cocaine combined. But in reality, the numbers are probably at least triple that. Witort added, diverting drugs like oxycodone to the streets is big business for Walgreens. They sell this power drug for cash and reorder from their drug addiction accomplices like Pfizer, Goldline, Major, and Shine. The flamboyant Witort is not a medical doctor, but is able to practice medicine after winning what court watchers call the nation's largest lawsuit in history for the right to practice medicine without a license in Chicago, which ironically is the headquarters of both the American Medical Association and Walgreens. This victory, 10 years in the running, is not just a victory for Witort, who stated, "This is a win for natural medicine and a setback for Big Pharma." The frivolous and malicious prosecution of Doc Mike was initiated by Illinois' highest-ranking attorney in the state, Attorney General Lisa Madigan, in 2002, in a case she assumed would be a slam dunk to make an example of anyone daring to attempt to help people cut back on prescription drugs. But the case backfired, both civilly and criminally, by Doc Mike. After his release, Doc Mike said, "My time in prison gave me even more passion to fight the system to help emancipate people from the bondage of Big Brother and Big Pharma." In his quest to reduce prescription drug dependency, Witort unrepentantly refers to pharmaceutical company executives as global parasites.
This was such a relief to me that I wanted to get into the curing of not only fibromyalgia, which they said there was no cure, but all of the other medical scams that are afflicting people, and they're being diagnosed with and treated unnecessarily. In 1975, one evening, I was coming back from Schaumburg about 10:30 at night, and came off of Route 53 onto the 290 extension. It was a hit and run, and it was switching lanes at about 75 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, I was up in the air after I heard a loud crash, and I hit the pavement on my back, and I started sliding along the shoulder of the road. I saw the motorcycle go by me, and I did about 200 yards on the shoulder of the road, and the motorcycle went about 300 yards. I went to the hospital, and sure enough, I had 3 broken ribs and a lot of gravel in my skin. So we put a Velcro strap around my ribs, got some pain pills, and about 3 weeks later, I couldn't remember which side of my chest hurt. My breathing was normal, and I was in such tremendous shape that I healed up very, very quickly. Needless to say, I don't ride motorcycles anymore. During my last 5 years of treatment for fibromyalgia, my therapist used a lot of reflexology, because reflexology is a balancing of the system and a perfect way to reduce stress in the body. And I knew that reflexology was an unlicensed practice in the state of Illinois. So I enrolled in the school for reflexology, graduated at the top of my class. Reflexology proved to be a perfect tie-in to classes that my therapist had taken a year or two before that cured my fibromyalgia. They don't use the word cure in any of the disciplines out there: massage therapy, medicine, psychiatry, surgery. Nothing can be cured. It can be remission for a while, but it's always going to come back. And besides the word cure, if you look it up in the dictionary, in medical dictionaries or Wikipedia or dictionary.com, it says restore to health. Not for a minute, 5 minutes, an hour, a week, a month, a year, 10 years. It says restore to health. That is cure. But nobody ever tells anybody that. Now with my myotherapy, I realized in my 3rd month of training in myotherapy school, and I started getting into oxygen therapies, and that's what Witort was all about. Oxygen Incentive Living, Integrative Therapy, Witort. And I was off and running. Every part of the body that I worked on with my new patients, that I was able to infuse this oxygen manually with stretching techniques, I was able to alleviate pain almost instantly, as we did with myotherapy, because that's what myotherapy does. It eliminates hypoxia and ischemic conditions that are in the tissue and restores a very, very viable life to anybody that's a patient of a myotherapist. My most activity and curing has been done with the syndrome of fibromyalgia. It's very, very simple to cure fibromyalgia. It is hypoxia, which is oxygen deprivation or oxidative stress or ischemia, and that causes pain. Now doctors, when they are presented with a patient that has pain, they automatically want to give them pain meds, narcotics, antidepressants, neuroleptics, things that take their mind off of the pain. Well, if a patient presents with it, and it takes approximately, I've heard in many cases, around 8 years to diagnose fibromyalgia, and you can imagine the expense during this time. And when the patient is told that they have fibromyalgia, they say, "Oh, that's wonderful. I now have a diagnosis of what I have. Let's cure it." Well, the first response from the doctor is, in many cases, "Oh, I didn't tell you that fibromyalgia is incurable." With the treatments that we do, the myotherapy, reflexology, vibration therapy, tuning forks, nutrition, stress reduction, calming techniques, meditation, and so on, we can knock out this fibromyalgia very, very quickly. Well, I had fibromyalgia for 23 years after my motorcycle accident, and I was cured. I've been pain-free now for 14 years. I had a terrible bus accident in 2004 or 2005, and my fibromyalgia did not come back. I have learned these oxygen therapies, and I maintain my oxygen levels very, very high and a low trigger point threshold so that this fibromyalgia will never come back. And that's how I was cured of my fibromyalgia with oxygen therapies, and how I maintain it. For autism, we use vibration therapy, percussion therapy, tuning forks, golf balls for rolling out the dysfunctional fascia, warming techniques like a hair dryer, and a vibrational pad that has a sequential vibration from head to toe. These therapies were so dynamic that I started writing about them. I got a radio program and started talking about it. And it wasn't too long after that that the troubles started with the zoning, IDPR, state's attorney, and the attorney general. And I wound up in and out of court for approximately 10 years. And that's how it led to the name.
Okay, and I'm so happy to have you, and I know 40 million of my listeners are just got their ears glued to their computers listening to you to the show.
Well, I hope they call in and ask questions because I'm not sure what I need to say, but
they will, believe me, because I've been trying to reward years ago before I got kicked off the air with my probation and so on. I offered $5,000 for a doctor to call my show, identify themselves, and then go toe-to-toe with me on adverse reactions, what happened in medical school. Just let us know why they were crucifying 800,000 Americans a year. It's genocide of what these doctors are doing out there. And now here we have you who turned your back on these idiots and is going to, doing in what I'm doing, helping people stay alive.
That's right.
It's so Christian.
And what your listeners really need to understand is that you're probably more qualified to keep them alive than I am at this point. I've really worked hard to continue my education and do what I do, but I'm really very, very, very interested in what you do.
Well, I want to thank you for that too, Doc, because that's what keeps me driving, keeps me with both hands on the wheel, and keeps my eye on the prize, because I was very, very sick because of doctors for many, many years. I couldn't pull out of this thing. Okay, there's the music, so you just have a seat there or do a little stretching, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll get you right back up on the air.
Calming, then the digestive tract, the urinary tract, the reproductive tract, and then the colon. So working with any one of these zones here peps up the child's reflexes throughout the entire body. As you can see, he's very, very calm when we do this reflexology. I discovered this a few weeks ago, how he responded to reflexology, and this is the purpose of this DVD, to show just how calm these children can be when they're having a session of reflexology. Now we can also use these tuning forks on the toes. So if you hold your foot right here, and that's it, just like it, no, upward, that's it right there, okay? And we can put the tuning forks right on the different reflexes. So here's his sinuses, and then on his chest. He wants to do it on both feet. Okay, bring them both up here, side by side. That's it. Okay. Very good. And we'll put it on the chest reflex. on the stomach reflex, on the heels, on the immune system, on the colon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to show you the treatment for fibromyalgia today, a treatment that combines theories that are thousands of years old. The main one, of course, is the vibration therapy, and that is about 1,800 years old. The procedure I'm going through right now is a couple of thousand years old. It's called acupressure. It's an acupressure walk, and it starts at the big toe, goes through the arch of the foot, into the heel, and then traces a line along the middle of the calf, through the Achilles to the middle of the calf. As it walks through here, there are 250 pain points, of which many of these are addressed. Goes around the back of the knee, connects again in the middle of the hamstring. As we continue on, it's a very gentle pressure, sort of a stretching either way, this sort of motion. As we get to the fold in the glutes, we turn on a 45-degree angle